Here's the truth no one wants to admit. Sometimes, when you threaten to leave, the person you love doesn't fight for you, they just let you go. And when that happens, you're left sitting alone, stunned, trying to understand how everything slipped away so quietly. I'm Lauren, I'm 37, and I learned that lesson the hard way. My husband, Daniel, actually agreed when I brought up the idea of separating, not with anger, not with tears, just calm acceptance, like I'd asked him to change the channel on the TV. We were married for 10 years. We had 2 amazing boys, Ethan, 8, and Caleb, 5. I was a stay-at-home mom. That was the plan from the beginning. I'd hold down the fort at home while he built his career. At first, it felt like a gift, being there for every moment with our kids. But over time, it became something else, lonely, repetitive, mentally draining. People have no idea how isolating it is to be home all day. The boys were in school most of the time, and I wasn't chasing toddlers anymore, but I still felt stuck in this quiet haze, like I was slowly becoming invisible. Meanwhile, Daniel went off to work each morning looking so polished and focused, while I sat in my pajamas drinking cold coffee, wondering what I was even doing with my life. I started sleeping in. The mornings belonged to Daniel. He had his routine with the boys down to a science. Breakfast, backpacks, goodbyes. He never asked for help, never complained, so I assumed he preferred it that way. I didn't see the harm in giving myself time to rest. But that's the thing, he never said anything. He never voiced a single concern. So how was I supposed to know something was building inside him? The same thing happened at bedtime. Daniel handled the boys' nighttime rituals like clockwork, stories, pajamas, brushing teeth. I'd be on the couch, decompressing, not because I didn't care, but because I needed to unplug, mentally reset. That was my way of staying sane. Looking back, I can see how my withdrawal might have looked to him. But at the time, it felt like we had this unspoken agreement. He had his roles, I had mine, and we were making it work in our own imperfect way. But clearly, something was brewing. Daniel started to change, pulling back, turning quiet. He'd come home and barely speak to me. He'd bury himself in work or retreat to his office. And when I asked about his day, I got short, empty answers. Then came the questions, sudden, probing, uncomfortable. Where had I gone that day? Who had I talked to? What had I done? It felt like he was auditing my life, looking for flaws in my routine. And yet, when I turned those same questions back on him, he got defensive. That double standard cut deep. I gave up so much to be his wife and the mother of his children. My career, my independence, my sense of self. And when I asked him again and again what was wrong, he just said, nothing. It was like living with a stranger who shared my bed but not my heart. Eventually, I tried to shock him back into reality. I told him, if things didn't change, maybe we should separate. It wasn't a real threat. I just wanted him to see how serious things had become. I needed him to care again. But he didn't. Not really. We argued once about his parents visiting. I told him I wasn't up to hosting, that maybe they could stay at a hotel. Instead of listening, he doubled down. I snapped and said, maybe I should just leave if my feelings matter this little. And do you know what he said? Fine. Not with passion, not with concern, just fine. That was the beginning of the end. Every time I tried to express how disconnected I felt, he responded with this blank, distant agreement. No fight, no spark, just quiet surrender. So yes, I kept bringing up the idea of separation, not because I wanted to end our marriage, but because I needed him to fight for it. For us. He never did. The final straw came when I told our oldest son that his dad and I might be getting a divorce. I probably shouldn't have. But when Ethan asked why Daddy didn't talk to Mommy anymore, I couldn't lie. I tried to soften it, to explain it in terms a child could understand. But Daniel exploded when he found out. He accused me of being selfish, of dragging the kids into adult problems. And maybe I was just desperate for anyone to understand what I was going through. To look at me and say, I see you, I hear you, what you're feeling matters. I needed to feel like I wasn't invisible, like I wasn't losing my mind. In that moment, when my own husband had shut down emotionally, I turned to the only person who was still looking at me with open eyes, our child. After that, I told Daniel I was done. Done begging. Done pretending. I said, maybe we should separate. And Once again, he just said, "You're right," like it was a business decision. The next morning, I expected regret emotion, but he was in the kitchen making breakfast, humming while he packed the boys' lunches. When I tried to talk to him again, hoping he'd reconsider, he just nodded and said, "We should move forward with it." As days passed, he became lighter, happier. He still did all the things he'd always done with the kids' weekend outings, bedtime routines, but now he seemed genuinely present, no longer weighed down. Meanwhile, I unraveled. I called him in tears. I begged. I reminded him of everything we'd built together. But all he ever said was, "I understand, but I think this is for the best." Eventually, I found out he'd already seen a lawyer before I'd even said the word separation. He was just waiting for the door to open. I was crushed. Not just for me, but for our boys. They didn't understand. They asked questions I didn't know how to answer. And Daniel, he just kept moving forward, calm, unbothered, compartmentalizing his new life like it was the most natural thing in the world. Then came Sarah. The first time I saw her, she was at our son's soccer game. Pretty, confident, sweet, and completely at ease in Daniel's orbit. The boys adored her, and Daniel, he looked like a man reborn. He had his arm around her, was laughing, social, relaxed. That's when I knew he'd truly moved on. She wasn't trying to replace me. She was respectful, warm, kind. The boys came back from weekends with stories about the fun things they did with Miss Sarah. It was killing me, but I couldn't find a single reason to dislike her. I tried dating, but it was exhausting. Every man felt like a stranger I'd have to explain my whole life to. None of it felt right. Meanwhile, I was navigating work for the first time in years, juggling bills, cooking, fixing The silence in the apartment when the boys were gone was the worst part. I kept waiting for Daniel to regret it, to see what he'd thrown away, but it never happened. If anything, he was thriving. Promotion at work, coaching baseball, taking couples photos with Sarah on weekends, and here I was, tired, bitter, still trying to make sense of it all. What hurt the most wasn't that he was happy. It was that he chose to be that man for her. He could have gone to therapy when we were together. He could have made changes, but he didn't. Not for me. And now he's the hero, the good dad, the one who moved on gracefully. While I'm stuck with the wreckage, 2 years later, I live in a small apartment. I work a job I don't love. I share my kids with a man who used to be my whole world and now barely looks me in the eye. People say I should be happy for him, that I should move on, but I'm not there yet. Because sometimes the worst part isn't losing the person, realizing they never planned to fight for you at all. And now I'm left wondering if they ever really loved you the way you loved them.